2, 1, and we are back for another week of the Okayest podcast.
Hey guys, hey
guys. What are we even doing here?
Nobody knows.
Does anybody listen to this podcast?
We just get together to complain about the bullshit in our lives.
It's like a therapy session.
Well, see you next week, bud.
There we are. Look at that. Oh,
hey,
man.
at least in 2 weekends we can complain about shit and then hopefully shoot shit.
Hey, I'm looking forward to that.
That'll
Turkey camp is going to be a first ever turkey camp. I've never had a Charlie's like, oh, now there's turkey hunting. I'm like, no. I'm not going to get obsessive and think about turkeys 24/7. I'm just going to go once, hunt the birds, maybe kill a bird. And that's kind of it. There's no 5 months of like psychotic behavior.
Prep and scouting. Reading tracks.
Let me tell you what's going to happen after turkey camp. I'm going to think about deer.
I'm going to be scouting for deer while we're turkey hunting for sure.
We got to figure out where we're going. I'm not going to say it on here because now we're live, but like we're figuring it out. So looking at campsites.
Hopefully it's going to become a yearly tradition.
Yeah, I think it could. Heads up to people watching that the camera that is pointing at us right now will probably die and I'll have to switch out batteries. So when that happens, just know that I've mentioned I'm forecasting a technical problem because my dummy battery died or something. So anyway, let's push this button.
Let it rip.
This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, if that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
Welcome back to another week of the Okayest Hunter podcast, coming at you from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. We are brought to you by Nosler. Be sure to go to nosler.com, code OHP. We are in the works of building our big giveaway campaign for July. I will release more information soon. It's just a lot of work to get everything all tidied up before we launch it. In tandem with that, Foam Fest is being worked on. Should have the event page live this week. Again, trying to get all the pieces in place and not like prematurely do things as we often like to do here.
We're pretty good at that part.
So, trying to be a little bit better about making sure everything is in place. I will tell you though that whatever the date is that we decide upon, that if you register before whatever that date is, you will get a free one-time only Foam Fest t-shirt.
Oh, Foam Fest t-shirt.
Yeah.
Solid.
You'll get probably some free coffee. I think some tumbler, a tumbler. Basically, you're going to get a goodie bag when you attend this year. So the price will go up from $40 to $50. In part, that's because of, well, I don't know, the economy, inflation, prices, venue, food.
You always feed everyone, though. Like if you go right in the morning, Eric's got donuts and coffee, and then that includes lunch, a whole spread, and it's, you got the whole 9 yards.
In this case, really the bigger thing is like all the extra goodies you're going to get in this bag. So when you come this year to Foam Fest, you're going to walk away with more stuff to represent and feel as though like that was worth the money. I had a good time. I shot my bow. I won some stuff. There's going to be lots of things to win. There's going to be some challenges. So we're going to have more ways to win stuff other than just the drawing. We're going to do the drawing earlier in the day so people aren't waiting around forever. We're trying to make it better.
We're going to have a game called Score This Spike where you make your somewhere between 4 and 12.
No tape measures.
Joking.
No tape measures allowed.
Joking.
We could do a jar of spikes and guess the amount of the total inches.
Yeah, that could be fun.
So we could maybe work with you on that.
I've got a lot.
Yeah. We can get one of those big jugs of like the cheese poofs.
Yes. I know a couple people who'd be willing to clean that out.
My kids
son.
would be willing.
We'll give those to the kids. 20 minutes later, we'll have a jar.
Yes. Shout out to Latitude. They had some sales going on. They had some things come back in stock. The Carbon Series Speed Sticks are back. It's a pretty good time of year to like try that stuff out and kind of get yourself comfortable shooting when it's nice out. There's no mosquitoes right now, by and large, yet.
Take my word for it. Also, if you do take advantage of the sale for the Carbon Series, Carbon Series Speed Sticks, if you do go that route, which we have obviously highly recommended, really, really like those. I would say do yourself the favor and add on at least one of their Amp Steel 8ers and the
tape.
Yeah, the tape. What is that called again?
The
stealth strip. They sell the kits that are like just a pre-cut size to fit those. But both of those things are going to make you very happy. You're going to end up wanting them. Just get them right away.
I run 4 sticks with the 8er on the bottom. That does a pretty good job of getting me. I mean, even you get pretty high up in these trees the way you're doing things. I think
I've got an 8er on each one.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't
personally.
Blame you. I don't blame you.
I don't mind it on the way up as much as I do on the way down. It's hard to find your footing, and usually getting down when the sun is going down or has gone down. So just, yeah, you could probably put some reflective tape on the 8 or something like that. That could maybe help you as you're looking down with your light or something like that. But how many sticks are you running? You said
4
with all the 8ers. So you're really getting up there.
I mean,
but I have really long legs, so maybe by the time I get to where you're at, maybe we're at the same point.
I just like to have the option to go that high if I need to in the circumstance. A lot of times I leave 1 stick or 2 sticks on the ground below it because it just doesn't call for it.
Yeah.
But gosh, I'd like to have it just in case. I mean, they're so light that carrying an extra one
that's kind of
matter.
The jam with it. And sometimes you get a tree that's got like a knot.
You just need an extra
and you can
step.
get high. Yeah. Anyway. Or like a branch. That can be like another thing. Rack Hub has a sale happening right now. Practically Perfect is what he's calling it, or they are calling it. It's like a pedestal mount for a table. And they used to have the wood pedestals that look really nice. They had some like aluminum ones that were coated and looked really great that they'd done for themselves for trade shows. Well, then everyone asked about, do you have these? So he's like, well, I have the ones that we had done, so he's going to sell them, and they may do more of them. So it's a super limited run, by the way. If you want to get those, it's a really neat idea. It would be something that would be good on this table for this deer.
Yeah.
Or even for like next to a coffee machine or coffee bar kind of thing. I just think it's a nice spot to put antlers for some reason.
I've got a little coffee hutch in the dining room. I don't have any antlers on it, but there's a lot of surfaces in my house that have antlers on them. Most of them are in my son's room because every time I find one, he's like, oh, that's mine. And it goes right into his room, into his pile.
That's pretty great. What else we got? Quick Trip. So everyone that we're mentioning too, by the way, will be part of this giveaway that we're going to be doing in July, and more details to come. I apologize. I'm not going to release too much yet, but like it is a lot of work, but I'm really excited about it because I think it's going to be a lot of fun for everybody. And I will say with Gerber though, we are going to do 6 total knives, 3 of one style, 3 of another, that are co-branded Okayest Hunter and Gerber. And when you see them, you will be, hopefully the response we had was, holy shit, they hit the nail on the head. This is really exciting. So those will be exclusive. So whoever wins those will be the only ones of their kind out into the world. And I'm really enthused about that. So we have some cool things going on. Bear will be another participant of that giveaway. We're going to be giving away 2 bows. It's up to us to decide which bows specifically, but probably what I'll do is one like female centric bow in terms of like camo pattern color, and one that's more like male. Though I don't know if, like, not to say any girl wants a pink bow, but
how dare you?
Like a guy wouldn't want a pink bow. So maybe some feedback from listeners if you're listening. Our topic today is why hunters hang it up.
Before we dive in, can I share?
Can
I share an Okayest moment that I had just like 3 days ago that has to do with Gerber?
Oh shit! Did you cut yourself?
So no, no Band-Aids. Worse. Far worse.
Stab someone.
It was this knife right here. So we got this lovely care package from Gerber, and we got some really sweet blades. And
it's a 2025 blade.
You've probably heard me talk about it, but my son loves looking at these. He's not going around playing with them, but like we look at them and check them out in the kitchen and stuff, and he thinks they're so cool. So
when you're a kid,
he and I went out. We took the canoe out. We went to Cabela's. We got clothes for turkey camp. So he got new pants and a shirt, a camo for turkey, and then we got him a new open face fishing reel. So we were going to put line on it. So I brought the knife outside. I'm like, all right, let's put some line on. So he's helping me, and he just thought this knife was the coolest knife in the world. And he's like, bring that fishing with us, Dad. And I was like, cool. So we're in the canoe, we're fishing, and we catch a couple fish. And I was like, we need one more fish for a good meal tonight. We're going to feed Mom and sister with fresh fish. So we catch the last fish, get it in. Life is good. I'm like, yes, got that last one. He was getting ready to go. My hands are a little slimy from handling the fish. I'm holding it, and I'm just going to give it a little whack on the head because we're like emptying out like our bucket and water and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to give him a little whack. Well, I'm like doing it right on the edge of the freaking canoe. I freaking whack it. It goes limp, and I launch the knife right over the edge. And he looks at me with this look of just, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed now. And he's like, was that the cool knife? And I was like, I'm real sorry, dude. I'll get another one.
Do you want to take that one home?
He's like, I can't believe you lost my favorite knife.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, learning moment, bud. Dad's an idiot.
This is a nice one. I do like
So that was my okayest moment. I chucked a really nice knife into the freaking lake, and it was pretty deep there, so I didn't go fetch it.
Losing knives is an okayest hunter trait. That just, it's one of those things that happens way too often. So I like the orange ones here that they have because these are harder to lose.
Well, that's what happens when you dress
different if you drop in a lake, but I'm talking about the time when you set it down. You're like,
when you set it down when you're dressing,
it's game over.
That's always the worst.
Like I've like literally like it can't. It I know it's here and it's
in your brain.
Gone.
Your brain is always in 5 different places. Like, where am I gonna how am I gonna process it? I gotta get this. We gotta go make sure I don't forget that. So your brain's already in 10 different places. And then that knife becomes just mentally invisible.
Calder, good evening, fellas. Popping in for a good episode. We'll see if it's good or not. But hey, congrats on your turkey, man. I saw you shared that with us on the DMs, and great work there. It took you a little bit of time, but the persistence paid off, man. Good for you. I think you were joking about the farm nature of that bird, but I wasn't sure because I can't read tone. I was like, I think this is a joke, but what if it's not? So I didn't want to say anything.
No comment.
I just waited for a while.
The truth comes out.
Yeah, eventually. Anyway, that's a good moment. No,
totally interrupted.
It's a shitty moment, but
your topic unveil. I'm
relatable. No, it's all good. I mean, that may be a reason someone hangs it up. Fuck it. My favorite knife's gone. I'm out.
Quit fishing.
Shit. I'm done with this.
This is stupid.
Stupid. It's the eighth knife I've lost this week. Could you imagine? There's a number of reasons people hang it up. I'm not to the point where I'll hang it up at all. Like, I don't think that's interesting me, but people do hang it up, and some people don't ever even pick it up. And I was curious about that. I was curious about it because there's voices in the space that will say we shouldn't recruit more people. And I don't think I think there's truth there. I also think there's several people that say that. It's not just one. Mm-hmm. But I just like to try to come at both things and come through and understand what's the paradox here. And I think when we were talking about this topic before we record, there is a paradox, but access, as an example, is just one of a dozen or more things that can contribute to someone hanging it up, so to speak. But it's often, from what I was interpreting, there's always several factors that play into it. It's never just one thing.
Oh, and
not never, but it's uncommon. It's more common to have a couple different contributing factors.
So you had quite a bit of research kind of compiled. Pages and pages and pages, which was great because it's a complex issue. But I think in all the research that we were just looking at, there's no doubt that there is a decrease in the amount of people across the country who are hunting. Every year that goes on, it seems like a slight decrease. And those issues that are causing that are what we kind of started getting fired up about upstairs. And man, there's no end in sight to what these issues are. And I think that whole meat eater paradox of Matt versus Steve and recruit, spread the word, and then no, don't do that. The message on the opposing side of what Matt's saying, yeah, you're right. There is truth to both sides of that.
Yeah. And one, it seems you're just promoting more commerce, and I think commerce just happens naturally. I don't know. You're never going to do away with it. And that's probably my hang up on that argument is I just think the angle is a little bit extreme, and there's truth in the message once you get past the angle. But there's a way to bring these two things together. And I'm not saying that way is easy or that I have the answers. I just know that there is a way, and it could be looked at framed a little bit differently to be a little bit more we can coexist here with a shared kind of belief system around what we're trying to accomplish. But just hunting is down. I believe that is objectively true. And the stats from 1982 state that there were 17 million Americans that bought hunting licenses. The last data that I have from a year standpoint, and maybe someone else has something more updated, and I'm happy to receive that information. So this is not I don't ever want to frame it as an absolute. I'm not the authority here, but we'll get into topics where we can have opinions about it.
Yes.
And but by 2016, only 11.5 million people purchased hunting licenses. So that's less than 4% of the total population of hunting, which is concerning against the population of people that vote. I don't care what you're talking about. 4% is a small number, and that number is vastly outnumbered by people that don't have an opinion about hunting. They're not anti. They just aren't. They don't even get it at all.
And that number seems so minute, especially to folks who are so immersed in it, like us. Like, this is, it's
we're like, what do you mean?
It's so ingrained, and you say 4%, and it's like there's no way that's that. But man, when you look at it, that's a drip in the freaking bucket, and that's why, like, not to divert, but like that's why us being unified and like not fighting amongst each other is so damn important.
And that's part of our mission, is to help mitigate and like chip away at a lot of the infighting that tends to happen in some cases, though I think it actually has gotten better. I don't think it'll ever go away because it's a human thing, but it is what it is. It's just interesting about people that actually have stopped hunting, because I've talked to people throughout the years that, I used to hunt and I don't anymore. And I'm always like, really? Well, like, I couldn't imagine giving this up. Like, what led you to give it up? Like, what do you mean you don't do it anymore? I'm like, have I just not hit that phase of life yet where it's been deprioritized enough that I just don't have time for it? And so like loss of land access or inability to navigate how to access land access is a really big part of the conversation. I don't think it might be the biggest driver, but there's all these other reasons. But part of that too, we were talking about, is this urbanization that's happening, where like there's a ton of building that's happening that's taking land away. So you have land that's getting taken away for development. That's happening anyways. Like, there's like subdivisions going up all over my community. There's land that's just literally no longer fucking available. It's just not. And it's happening at like a pretty fast clip. If I like look back 5 years ago, there's subdivisions that didn't exist. It's like the scene from Back to the Future when he rolls up and there's nothing there yet, just a sign.
Yep.
And then in the future, it's like all houses. Like, that's happening and is continuing to happen. Then you have the proliferation of hunting apps like OnX, Go Hunt, Spartan Forge, so forth, that are making it easier for the DIYer to go find public land, but there's less of it available. So to Matt Ranella's point, it does probably feel and or actually is more crowded, but it has to get into like the what was the stat here, the per capita. It's a little bit more nuanced than like certain states are feeling it heavier than others. So like as humans, we always look to what we see in our own purview. And if it hasn't happened to us, we either don't give a shit about it or can't really relate. We're like, no, that's not what I'm seeing. It's like, well, no shit. You're literally in a different state. We don't see mountains where we live. That doesn't mean they don't exist. Like, there are mountains. They're just in a different state.
Well, and that's another, issue that the whole, your just perspective on it. But I showed you the post earlier about a gentleman from Michigan. Michigan has got some new proposals for their deer season and for paying for a permit to bait and whatnot. And there was a little bit of discussion on that. And then you had people chiming in from other states. A gentleman from Illinois chimed in and said, well, hey, I mean, yeah, that sucks, but you have 180% more access to public lands than I do here in Illinois. Here in Illinois, the public lands, there's so few of it that it's so overcrowded and wild, and those public spaces that we have to go fishing aren't even worth a shit anymore. No one even wants to use them because they're so poor. So like that's, every state is dealing with a totally different set of issues. And one of the things that will come up state to state that you and I talked about too is kind of an issue, a barrier of entry, if you will, is like how complex and complicated some of the public properties that are open to hunting
or like the regulations
are to find, or what seasons and times you can hunt and what weapons you can hunt. And do you need permits to hunt there? I went down and bought a discharge permit for one of the townships to go turkey hunting because I didn't know that, but to use any sort of weapon, even a bow and arrow, even on your private land, you need to pay $30 to get a discharge permit to shoot a weapon.
And there's fear of
that's wild
doing it wrong.
Yeah,
because we, by and large, like this population of people, us being included in the population of hunters, there's obviously people, there's bad eggs and everything that are going to fuck it all up and give us a bad name. But mostly we're rule followers.
Try to be.
And you really try to be, and heaven forbid you miss one. And like, when you don't know what you don't know, it's really hard to figure out what you ought to know. And you wouldn't consider some of those things if that's not what you're used to. How would you know that information? Where do you find that information? Like, there's all these city ordinances that have to be maintained for like really specific areas. Even in our own state, it's different from county to county sometimes, like you just called out. So complexity of regulations is one that I don't know if that's a reason people get out. It could be. Like, I think that could be like, you know what, I'm done with this. I can't even figure it out. I'm out. But it's a barrier of entry for me. Like, I have yet to go out hunting out west. Money is a big part of it, because tags for large game, big game over in like a different state out west is expensive. Travel gets complicated. The dialogue of like how we bring meat back from Oregon, that you guys had never done it before. You're like, how do we do this?
That's a whole set of hoops.
There's a lot of thinking, like, what could we even film? Not that you have to be filming, but that was a whole thing. Could we even bring a camera guy?
And there's certain public lands that filming it for any commercial purpose is not allowed, or you need to spend, $1,200 to get a commercial filming license, blah blah blah, like all those things. And although those might not hold all people back, if you're a new hunter or someone who's excited to get out, and then you hear people talking about this, or you start looking into the rules, and all you have is to hunt public property around your house, and now you've got 6 different city ordinances from different townships, and each public property, this one closes early because it's got hiking trails through it. This one you can only use archery equipment. Like, these are all real things that I just navigated last week.
State parks.
Like, that's a lot to worry about. And you don't want to be out there and like you just did like your thing and shot a turkey or shot a deer, and then have somebody walk up and be like, you can't do that. Like, that's illegal. Now you're a poacher, right? Like, oh my God, that's what nobody wants that.
Is accidental poaching a topic? Because everyone's like, you should know better. You should. Well, yeah, probably. But also, geez, could you make it a little fucking easier? There's a state park that we're looking at camping at for turkey camp. And I was trying to go to the research. I was talking to Greg. He said, you can't turkey hunt there. I was like, well, Greg, do you know that? Well, I don't know. I'm like, well, let's figure it out. You can. However, not past the second week of May or something. Not a date. They just say second week. I'm like, well, and I think it's because it's a state park. I think it's because like trails probably open up.
You get more visitors who are
so
there.
They're probably just trying to like, you know what? We're not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. We're just going to say like after this date, it's just not going to happen.
Yep.
And I'm like, if we would have had an earlier season, we could have. That doesn't matter that much, but. Again, you have to be reading those things. So like the regulations are certainly a part of that conversation. And I don't know. Like,
I had a good buddy that I used to teach with. He was a science teacher, and he was a little bit older than me and much wiser. And he always said that when it comes to the outdoors and hunting and fishing, if you're out doing something, you're probably doing something wrong. Like, no matter how hard you try, right?
That's reassuring.
If you're doing something, you're probably do. If somebody looked hard enough, they could find something that you were doing wrong.
Right. Yeah.
You were breaking some sort of rule or law.
Yeah.
And sadly, that's probably the goddamn truth.
I think we've probably all had some moments, and then you like, oh shit, you figured out after the fact. And you're like, well, good thing I didn't. It's like when you're young, you get away with a lot of things. You just didn't you never got in trouble because you never got caught. But you were causing trouble.
Yeah.
It reminds. Oh, there it is. Battery exhausted. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. Then one of the other ones is like major life transitions, family, career paths. Those are like big.
Oh, I thought you were talking about your camera battery. It's having a major life transition. End of life.
I guess it did have a major life transition. Just get this fixed here real quick. Okay, buddy, turn back on. See if it does it.
He's awake.
Oh yeah, I'll charge this one again now and see. My dummy battery is not functioning any longer. So, it's still not going here. Come on now. There it is. Okay, we'll see if it comes back online. Anyway, the life stuff is I think a big one, depending on where you're at. Yeah, it'll take a second. Look at that.
That's fun.
Photo sesh there on the screen. That's real sexy. That's what I like to see when I'm watching a podcast. Elijah said, better start introducing kids to the outdoors. Introduce someone at least and share the wealth once it's available or once in a while when able. That's a big one. I mean, so then that goes to you're recruiting and there's some people that say, well, that we don't need more hunters. I think objectively we do, but there is than this other problem that happens because of it, which is access, which could then propel more people to get out.
Right.
So I don't know how to address that because I don't have the full comprehension of it just yet. I haven't had time to like totally dig in. So I'm kind of scratching the surface of like, if R3 exists, recruit, retain, reactivate, and people are pumping that message into ethos and doing those activities. But then when you recruit too many people in, it exhausts the resource and crowds it. And therefore people have a bad experience existing and new, and thus they fall back off. So it's like, there's ways I think to address that. That's what I don't have enough understanding of yet.
There's so much.
But you could also be promoting private land in certain ways. Now leases have gotten expensive, more expensive.
Let's touch on that topic for sure, because this is right what I was thinking. So you talked before about the Matt Ranella kind of stance is like, it's all about consumerism, and they're just trying to make money. It's the industry pushing, and I think to some degree we ran into a pretty big problem. I'd say like 15 to 20 years ago, when the QDM, and I'm not saying that's the problem. Just hear me out, okay? When
I'm not going to bite your head off.
QDM started kind of growing in popularity, and guys with private land who were just out there hunting with friends and family members, and everybody came, and it was kind of the community. Don't get me wrong, there were still people who were targeting big deer, but it was more of a communal thing, right? Like you got together, the family came up for the 9-day gun season here in Wisconsin. I'm just referring to but I know this happens all around the country. They have the deer camp, right? And you go out there and you try to shoot some deer, and mostly you're playing cards and hooting and hollering and having chili together and all that. But then we started kind of getting into this era of like chasing the trophy bucks, right? Like trophies kind of took over the magazines. All the articles were how to improve your property. And as you start doing this improvements, you're putting time, effort, energy, money into your property. It becomes a little bit more about you getting the big deer or your family. And then all of a sudden the invites maybe don't extend out to the extended family quite as far as they once did. And it kind of became this personal mission, right? Where like the trophy buck was the top prize. That was the trophy. And people became way more reclusive. And then, cameras aided in that. And then all of a sudden people stopped sharing so much information, and it became more about this personal goal to get this. And that kind of took away from the community of hunting. So inviting others out to hunt your private property was no longer a real thing.
It's like a
And
privilege.
instead of people traveling up north to go to deer camps or where they usually did, well, actually there's more deer around my house, so I'll probably just hunt this property close to my house. I'm not going to do that anymore. I got a better chance at a big one. And I think all of that kind of slowly started taking its toll on that community aspect. And that's why a lot of people did it here in Wisconsin, was because that's what you did. And then once a few family members started pulling out, then those camps just kind of slowly disappeared. And it was no longer the family, the community part of it. It was kind of more like, I'm interested in getting my big buck.
Well, as you kind of peel that back a little further, and if it's 20 years ago and there's this progression, eventually that hunter that had this greater concern for wanting to harvest big deer by managing the land, doing QDMA, so forth. And again, nothing wrong with it per se, but they have a kid. Now their kid grows up seeing it through that lens, instead totally of different. The deer camp lens. And so there's just more of that happening, because they now go, ooh, we're only after big deer. We know how to grow them. And the bigger, the better, the more history, the more it shows up on cam, the finest sheds, now it's mature enough. I'll target that buck and take that buck. And you're lining your walls with these beautiful, magnificent animals. Is that bad? People are still hunting. That's still good. But then it's also driving up the prices of the property. We've talked to Doug Dern about the gentrification of certain areas where like people that own the properties don't actually occupy them. They live somewhere else, like Illinois. They only drive up to kill a big buck. No one's shooting does because no one's hunting other than that peak rut time, and they're only interested in the big bucks. So there's a lot of different. And this is just Wisconsin. I think that you and I are mostly discussing. Obviously, it's different elsewhere, like we just mentioned. But
these are issues.
There's a lot happening here. It's not just a thing. That's a greater point to take away from this. And there's still probably like 16 things we haven't covered yet.
That issue that you brought up with the leases, though, I think was a big one, because you started to see, there's always been outfitters and guides, but when people really started to, this trophy hunting thing really took off, and now I'm going to travel, go hunt some really good areas.
Mm-hmm.
And when the guides and outfitters started, putting some money forward, like to get more land, all of a sudden that's, competing with those private permission peeps, those Tommy and Billy who've hunted here for the last 20
Landers
years.
like, they're okay, but I want some money.
Somebody's offering me $8,000,
mm-hmm.
$10,000, maybe even more. Like, you can't blame them for taking that. Some of these people,
mm-hmm.
Are elderly and they're on a fixed income.
Yep.
But then, outfitters are doing that to every piece of property they can in the county. That's tough, because they're trying to make their business thrive also. But that's where, that public land piece comes in. And then all of a sudden, if those people want to continue and they have nothing, let's go hit the public. And then you've got
so it's almost like the acquisition of more private through lease or otherwise buying up the land itself is pushing people that were accessing it for hunting onto public.
Or they quit, right?
Or they quit. Or they go to public, and therefore it's causing... I'm seeing those quarter machines in my head that you play at the fair when you're a kid.
Oh, yeah, that push.
Where it pushes the quarters, but some fall off the edge, you never get them, and some fall back into your pocket, and you can keep playing the game. I think there's a lot of quarters falling off the edge here. And there's a number of factors getting input into this machine, and the prizes are just not making their way through.
That's a great metaphor.
I don't know if it works.
How many quarters can we push into this 180-acre piece of public? Oh, there goes one.
Oh, we lost. Are we getting more hunters than are falling off the sides? And don't worry, we have more hunters. I have them in my hand now. I'm going to put them right back in, and therefore I'm going to cause more to fall off the sides again. Like, it's this weird game, and the deer on top of the quarters, you're always getting the prize. That's the whole point of this.
We're not even worried about deer right
now.
Yeah,
right. We're just like, shit, how do we manage the hunters? Yeah. It's wild. And Calder just mentioned, like, in the comments, you can see on the TV here too, I would argue most of the private land in the Adirondacks are owned by out-of-staters, which is what we were talking. That's the gentrification of a certain area, and people are becoming territorial over the public, which is interesting. And people do. That's always kind of been a thing. It's like, that's my spot. I'm like, actually, it's public land. But I can understand that you've squatted here and you've claimed first rights, and you've kind of like, put up your elbows and like, I've done that shit.
Yeah, for sure.
But if someone else beats you to it, fair and square, it is what it is. It's not actually mine. I'm just kind of like, damn it, they beat me. Like, there's more people in the spot that I've been hunting.
You can try to impose your will, and that's something we always like.
Some people take it to extreme. They'll put up fucking signs and shit. And they'll make it seem like that you can't hunt it. That's a problem.
And you get people being territorial over public land who might be private landowners who border that land too.
Oh, dude,
there are instances where people maybe have had that public piece. No one has really bothered it, messed with it. And that's kind of like, imagine that you have a 20-acre piece. There's, 80 acres of public behind you. No one really goes there. So you hunt it all the time. It sort of feels
you might have some like
yours.
Really good access because of the private property. But if you're a realtor and like a whitetail property guy or whoever, I don't know, there's a lot of those companies out there, I suppose. But it's like, hey, Derek, I got this private land piece, but it butts up to 500 acres of national forest, and you're kind of like, fucking bonus.
Yes.
Like, look at me go, and then you're like, yeah, now you're probably flexing some territorial tendencies onto the public. It's bleeding through a little bit.
For sure.
And you might get mad if someone hunts right up to the
natural.
line.
Yeah, it's only natural. That's the human element.
That's why guys are jealous when like someone looks at their girl. Guys are way too possessive.
And while all this is going on, and more and more people are getting pushed onto public by circumstance, like maybe they've always hunted. So now the public lands are getting a little more crowded with, your everyday hunter. And then we're talking about hunter recruitment. We're more adult onset hunters. So now you're getting all excited. You're an adult, you've taken your hunter safety. Man, I'm going to go hunt some public land. That's what's available to you.
Yep.
If you had private available to you, you probably would have been hunting already, but that's not always the case. So now you go out, and for your first 2 or 3 years, you see what the public land is like here in southeastern Wisconsin. You're going to run into people almost every time you go.
We live in between two major populated areas. Like, the population density of Milwaukee, Madison are thick. It's just, there is nowhere you're going to go in southeast Wisconsin where you're not going to have a metric F ton of pressure.
Yeah.
And I might be, now, do I have the frustration that everyone else has? yeah, there's another truck there. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, damn it. I mean, I think that's on video. I'm like, oh, there's a guy here. Like, that's natural. However, I'm also like, good for him. There's another hunter here. Like, how cool they're enjoying the resource too. Like, James Clear in Atomic, he wrote Atomic Habits. He says, like, I don't have to, I get to. It's like this shift, and I'm not saying that phrasing applies here, but there is some sort of shift in how the lens in which you look at things can help you with those frustrations. I don't have to do a podcast. I get to do a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to go to work. Well, I fucking do, but I get to go to work. We live in a country where I get to go to work. I'm not, some slave or something. Like, I have this great life, technically. Subjective and debatable, but
joking.
Josh, let's keep reading the comments in here, and the phone line is open too. And I don't want to take anybody that's going to get too heated, but hopefully everyone can kind of come at this with a good level head. Information available is at an all-time high, but so is cost of entry. Even if you go budget with gear, clothing, coats, which is totally doable. License and tag cost is going up every year. Maybe that is one of the points we had in the research we were doing, is that cost of gear, licenses, and travel is up. Gas isn't down. Not where I live. Cost of gear is up. And think about all the tariff stuff that's happening. And I'm not going to get political here, but like, it just is the nature of the beast. A lot of people are getting stuff from overseas. It's not necessarily always China. It could be Vietnam, the Philippines, and other places.
I mean,
like
you think
glass,
of all the hunting stuff.
A lot of glass for optics companies. A lot of that stuff comes from Japan and China, and like all trail cams primarily come from China.
Yep.
It's all 25 years of doing business this way.
Clothing coming from Vietnam,
from China or Vietnam, and there's things here in the States that like we either can't do, or in some cases can't do as good as China. That's not entirely or always true. There's other companies. Origin Camo does like things here in the USA. Montana Knife Co does things here in the USA. But big gears turn slow. If I start a company today, I'd probably start building right effing here. Some of these companies are newer. The legacy companies that have been around for the last 20, 40, 50 years had supply chains built for a different system, and they took advantage of things for various obvious reasons. And to pick all that up and put it here, there's things that have so much legacy behind it that's going to be really hard, and it's going to take a lot of time. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's going to take time. Regardless of all that shit, it's just expensive. And I don't think we're going to see things come down in price anytime soon, is the point I'm making. So if it's already a problem, it's going to get worse. It just is.
And Josh makes a fair point there, yeah. Elk tags, right? Like, especially with out west in Colorado, but like, imagine just even here, you put in, let's be really conservative with an estimate. Let's say you put in $1,000 to get started.
Mm-hmm.
That's bow, arrows, pair of boots, some clothing, blah, blah, blah. Your travel to the spot. You get everything set up. You've listened to all you can listen to. You've gathered information. You put in $1,000, which to some people, that's a lot of investment for a hobby, for something on the side.
Out of the gate it is.
And then you go to one of these public pieces that we're mentioning, and your first couple experiences maybe aren't so hot. Maybe there's a bunch of people there, right? And you're like, this is what I signed up for. Like, this is not the experience that I saw on YouTube, that I thought this was going to be, this wilderness retreat where I'm like,
I'm one with nature. I'm challenging myself.
It can still be there, but like, it just realize there's a very good chance it's not going to be what you thought it was going to be. And then it's like, well, good thing this is fairly new because I can still get some resale on this, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's certain jackets that cost $700.
Yeah.
The pair of pants I just bought retail for like $200 some.
Those insect repellent ones?
Yeah,
worth it.
But I've been hunting for, what am I, 39? So 10, wait, what? 20. Oh my God, this is bad and embarrassing. It is as bad as I say it is. So
27
years? I think I started hunting when I was 16.
Oh.
So that's carry the 23 years. And I just now bought like a really nice pair of pants. Like, it's taken that long.
First time.
I've not, like, if you see me hunt, like, I've not ever invested in a pant.
Yeah.
I haven't. I have some cheapos from Walmart that I've been wearing for this whole entire time. And I see people at like 3 archery events that are just rocking this shit like a fashion statement. I'm like, who's wearing this stuff? Like,
I'm rocking the outdoor Wrangler, $20 pants from Walmart.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like and these are by the way, Sierra Trading Post is like one of my favorite places to shop for my everyday casual wear shit because I'm getting pants that probably are $100 or $200 for like $8.
It's perfect.
And it's like, look at me, I'm fashionable.
We just had
now.
one of those put in town. I'm there all the time.
Oh, dude, it's great for clothes. But yeah, also going out and eating $1,000 Colorado elk tag isn't appetizing for anyone.
No.
I don't even know what's going on in Colorado anymore. Like, no over-the-counter tags for archery. Is that what it is?
For
rifle.
elk. For archery.
It's for archery elk in Colorado. No over-the-counter tag.
I think
so. If you want to go kill an elk, you got to go with a rifle, and that's still over-the-counter. But again, I'm not from Colorado. Like my capacity to pay attention to things that happen in different states, let alone my own state or county, is so limited. And you have to pay attention to these things so closely, or you better know people. And luckily, we do. We know lots of people because of the show we do. We could probably pick up the phone and start texting all sorts of people and get like good information and or pointed in the right direction.
Yep.
If you've never done this shit, you don't have that network of people to reach out to. Probably, you might know some people, but like it's not like what we have.
We've talked a lot about so far, like adult onset or people who have already been hunting, why they might hang it up.
Mm-hmm.
But Elijah there brings up, a good point with kids. And this is something that I think some kids still do here, but like when I was a kid, small game was like what you started on. But I think we've really shifted, and like most kids are starting with deer hunting or turkey hunting. But I think that's maybe one of the issues that I see with that is like squirrel, rabbit, pan fishing. Those are activities that are just damn fun. They're just fun.
Yes.
You get to be goofy. You get to joke around, run through the woods. Like, you get to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in a deer blind when you're 6 years old because Dad said this food plot looks great, and then you've got your crossbow locked in on the tripod deadlock, and deer comes out, you shoot it. Like, that's probably not nearly as fun for a kid. Like the excitement of shooting is probably great, but there was a whole study on like retaining youth hunters because that number is like lower than it's ever been.
Well, so you have what you just had mentioned, like dad or uncle or grandpa or whoever might not be taking child because they're too serious about the sport. I'm very guilty of this because I was still kind of like trying to get into. Boy, I want to kill a big one. If I bring my kids, that's no chance that's happening. So it's kind of like I got to have my hunt set aside for me so I can scratch my own itch. But then the turkey hunting stuff I found to be fascinating because that did illuminate some things for me that just like my brain did not light up that way yet. And I was like, why do I care about that? You're having it happen more than ever with your son.
Yeah.
Where you're like, he just wants to be there. And there's no way you're going to like say, no, we'll see what happens come like hardcore hunting season. But at some point, you're going to need to teach him that shit.
Yeah.
And like, it actually is complicated to figure out when to start bridging that gap and how to find the moments to bring him along, to get him going. Like, your dad did a good job with you in shaping that through. I'm sure at some points you're really annoying to him. And nowadays, like, and then there's like this sweet spot where it's like, you guys are the best hunting buddies in the world.
Yeah.
And then you kind of, sadly to him, passed him up maybe. And now you're helping him.
Different paths.
Like it's like the Benjamin Button, like they eventually the two, she starts out young, he starts out old, and they eventually intersect in the sweet spot, and then it goes the other direction all over again. Like that's happening. It's challenging, and because it's challenging, you might just opt to not do it. And the small game stuff, I think, is a great way to take the seriousness out of it and still instill a lot of the things that we talk, because you can still scout for deer without shooting squirrels.
Yeah.
You can still call that shit out. But also, kids have way more shit to do these days than we did. When I was a kid, at my kid's age, maybe I was playing Mike Tyson on Nintendo or Sonic on Sega.
Sonic, yeah, that would have
been.
And
you would get your fill, you'd play some Mortal Kombat or, whatever it was. And then you'd go the fuck outside. And you'd go build forts and do stuff and like probably build fires we weren't supposed to if you were an arsonist like I was.
You seem like an arsonist.
I was loving lighting stuff on fire. But that's happening less these days. The kids, and I don't fault the kids or necessarily even the parents. Like, look at us. We're all on our phones all the fucking time. Like, hypocrite. So, like, if we have a hard time turning it off and putting it down, imagine how they feel.
Yeah.
And they have so many options. They have like Nintendo Switches, the phones themselves, the TV shows,
tablets,
YouTube, tablet. Man, it's everywhere. And so I'm not saying it's all bad. It isn't. It's a part of life. And if you take that away from your kid, they're probably going to have a hard time getting a job in the future. They probably know how to use this shit. But to that end, they should probably also know how to do some stuff outside. And so there's a balance there that's really hard to navigate too.
Yeah, and there's no handbook on when to get your kids started. When is the best time to do it? It's all based on your dynamic and the kid. And I think that's something that you and I have both thought a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
I was never, even though as hardcore as I am into whitetail hunting, like that's what I think about all the time. I was never, and I still am not, in any sort of rush to get my kids to go out and kill the animal. I don't think either of my kids are close to being ready yet, just understanding the whole process. I'm glad that they want to be involved in the process, but I just know my kids, and I know that I'm not going to rush it. When they're ready, I'm going to know. And then it'll be time.
But my buddy Dave, his kid killed
Which
that
was
turkey
awesome.
at 4. And that kid was ready.
That was awesome.
He's like, I think that kid was born to kill shit.
4'10" at 4 years old. That turkey was as big as he was. Maybe
it definitely
bigger.
Was.
That was badass.
But doesn't mean you can't bring them along and start to see if that'll shape into something. And I'm not the one that's going to force a kid to do something. If they don't want to, I'm not going to make them.
Yeah.
Like I might make them come with me once or twice. But like, no, you got to really experience it. Like, let's just go full send, and if you hate it, I'll stop. But so far, they've shown enough interest to want to be there because I think they want to spend the time.
I think that's the big part, right?
That's like, yeah.
And especially when you have multiple kids, getting some one-on-one time, if you take them one at a time, like getting that one-on-one time is a huge thing for them. So I think if you've got kids and it's something that is important to you, I think really trying to see where your kid's at, like how you introduce it is obviously going to have a lasting impact. And if we want to retain hunters, you want to have a family who's going to do this, just let them know how important it is to you, and they'll pick that up obviously, and just involve them whenever you can.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I think just to kind of keep rolling through it, I don't need to take the show notes. That's not the point. But there are so many reasons under the main title, thesis of the show today, or the episode. Like more people live in urban areas than they ever have. Those urban areas are expanding, and more people are just kind of getting globbed into them. I don't even think they're moving into them. They're just kind of like sprawling out, and you kind of get stuck in the net. Yeah. So it's like, it's less of a part of the day-to-day routine that like we probably experienced 50 years ago. Or what did the study say? It was like 1980 something. That's 20 years ago, I guess.
That number was so high of hunters.
And then we think about all the subdivisions being built, like you can kind of see that. The rural areas, is that the term I want to use?
Yeah.
Are becoming subdivisions.
Yeah.
And not strip malls, like they're coming, like there's just more people live in those areas. I don't know. I'm like out of breath apparently. But the other thing too, like there is some aging out. The boomers are like, oh, the boomers are aging out. But also people are just, as you get older, you might have a less interest to want to go exert yourself physically. And we talk about gear being expensive. I blew my shoulder out. Now I'm old. I'm not going to buy a crossbow. They're really expensive, or I'm not interested. I never really wanted to shoot one of those things.
It's a little bit of the human condition and just our mindsets, but like there are affordable options out there for anything. For compound bows, you don't need the flagship. For crossbows, yeah. But I mean, when you walk into say a Cabela's and they've got that beautiful Raven 7,000, like you know what I mean? Like it's a badass looking piece of machine, and that thing's like $4,000. And then you go, oh, let me look at something in my price range, and it looks a little different. And it's $600. You probably don't feel like you're making a hell of an investment.
Yeah, I don't want the truck with the manual windows. I want the one with all the big screens and shit. Yeah.
Do I really want to buy that? Like that's a pretty big pill to swallow there. I was like, yeah, I'm spending this money. It's still a lot of money, but like, it's not that. I want that.
So it is this weighing against like how much do you love doing this, and do you want to do it forever? The Hunter Health Span, written by Lyndon Lauren, who you were out in Oregon with, guiding.
Incredible day. Incredible.
He's like, if I love this so much and I want to do it forever, then I need to take care of my body to be able to do it forever. And sometimes you go through things in life. You are Superman when you're young. You think your back's never going to fail you, so you use it all the time. Or you love a certain food, so you eat as much of it as you can. And eventually, those small bets have a payout, and sometimes that payout's not in your favor. It actually goes against you, and over time you start to manifest a less healthier lifestyle. I'm very guilty of this.
Yeah, me too.
I blame my kids 100%.
Those rotten little bastards.
And if you don't course correct or find a way to stay in some groove, like, yeah, you might age out from like that standpoint. Like it might happen sooner than you think. You might not be 90 giving it up. You might be 62 and giving it up. And now you just lost 30 years of doing the thing you love the most. So
that happens a lot.
I think so, you know. Or you just slow down and you're like you only want to enjoy it as this elite human. And if you have this injury or something happens, you're like, if I can't do it to the fullest, I'm just not gonna do it all. Like some of us have that all or nothing mentality.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what I was just thinking about. Is some people can find a way to go, yeah, maybe I don't, get back into those good areas, but like I enjoy listening to the birds.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are like, I can't. No, I'm not listening to the freaking birds. I'm either going hard or I'm sitting and I'm staying home doing something else.
Yep.
And I don't know which camp I'll be in, but I feel like it's probably.
I'm already in the bird camp. Like, I'm also have the hardcore, but I'm just as fine just getting out there. So like health and aging is definitely one of the components. I think we've hit on most of these here. The personal values, ethics, and interests. I've thought about this, and I just think it changes how you hunt. I think it like lives through the vein of different stages of the hunter journey, where we talk about like in the beginning of like starting to shoot deer, you're going to shoot every single deer because you just want to do that. And then as you age up, you're shooting less deer because I'm not trying to kill the whole fucking herd. I just want like a nice buck or a good meat doe or whatever. But in some cases, people are like, why am I killing these things at all? Maybe I don't like that anymore.
I read that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I know there were some points about it. Like some hunters become uncomfortable with killing or shift towards conservation only values. Social stigmas have an impact. Loss of interest over time. Like, or maybe you marry into someone that doesn't like it or likes the venison, or
I think those social stigmas can definitely play.
I think that's got to be
I think they can play a role. Like I know that my current social environment at work, I am one of the very few who hunts. Like if I went into the lounge, the staff lounge, and started talking about my hunt this last weekend, I would get a lot of people raising their eyebrows and probably thinking, crazy ass art teachers like killing animals in the woods, flinging arrows like he's freaking John Wayne, like something like that. And like I get that. That's not gonna stop me. But what I thought when I read that was actually a little bit of the opposite being true. I think especially during like the COVID, the pandemic area. And I think with the current, I think we're on a little bit of a health upswing as a country, not just with the political stuff going on with like banning dyes, but I think a lot of people are paying more attention to like, what is in the food that I'm feeding myself and my kids? And I think that's really good. And I think when people are kind of thinking about that, a lot of people are like, hey, I have this opportunity to harvest nature's most organic meat that's possible. And like, I think there's a group of people that are looking to take advantage of that.
Look at that as a way to bring people into it. And it was a way to bring people into it.
For sure. The price per pound
and increase ridiculous. The diversity. It will also increase the price, like the diversity of people coming into it.
Yeah.
Like by and large, let's just be fucking honest. It's mostly white dudes that do this. Like, and most older white dudes by and large. So like, there's nothing wrong with black people that hunt or want to hunt. I just think when we talk a lot about the familiar aspect of like, my dad showed me, your dad showed me. If your dad isn't the person or your mom isn't the person doing that activity, it's really hard. It's not even in your like purview of awareness. So I think there's just in general, there's less of other populations that do it. Is there interest? Sure. Then we talk about all these barriers that we've been mentioning.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't even know how to start. Not to mention it feels uncomfortable because I'm not like of the same stigma of people that do this thing. So am I going to get shunned if I go into it? The answer is not, but like you wouldn't help think those things. Like, I don't know, if I walked into the inner city of some areas, I'd feel pretty fucking weird and intimidated.
Doing something that was like a cultural norm.
Yeah. Like, am I locking my doors? Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to like, hey man, what's going on over here? We'll play some basketball. What the fuck's this guy doing here? You know?
Yeah.
It's a barrier of entry right there, you know? You can go both ways.
I hear you.
What were some of the comments that just came through? So I'm keeping up.
They're bored of it.
I know some good old boys that quit deer hunting because they are bored of it. Oh, you just said that. Grew up on thousands of acres and they've been doing it since they were young and just doesn't excite them anymore. That's fascinating. That's a fascinating one.
I'm not there.
That's like, oh, who are the people that I talked to that got out of this? Like, am I just not there yet? Like, I don't know that I will be there. Especially as my kids seem to have interest. Like, that's definitely fanning the flames of like keeping me at it. Building community, including teaching, new outdoorsmen is all-time low. Individuality is rising, to your earlier point. Thanks for Calder. Josh said Steve Rinella has a book called Outdoor Kids and Indoor World, maybe. Good for getting kids outside. I've heard that is a good book. I haven't picked it up yet.
I've not read it either.
That'll be a good one. Utah doubled their prices this coming year. So, like, look, all the things we're talking about are being echoed in the comments section here. No one's like fighting us on this shit. But
thanks for not fighting us. We're not trying to ride the middle of the road here, but we're also trying to cover the bases.
Do people get out of hunting? Why do they get, like, literally that was the point of like the conversation. Is like, let me think about this a little bit. And some people do. And I'm like, I want to talk to them. I want to like, literally, if you know someone that got out of hunting, I'd love to be like, let me hear what happened. It's like homeless people. Like, how did this happen? How did you get here?
And hunting is just a weird exception to this rule, but like, obviously everything comes down to your personal connection to it, and be that family, the community aspect, be that, you love the challenge of it, be it food, be it your significant other and their family, like whatever it is, you got to have that personal connection to it. And if that personal connection in any way is like a couple strands of that rope get severed, it's really easy to cut that off due to all the things we just listed.
Yeah.
Prices going up, equipment is so expensive, lack of access to lands. So like, I feel like nowadays fewer of those strands need to be cut in order for people to just drop the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because and it's just it's a whole.
Think about how much time we'd have back if we weren't hunting.
My God.
What would our life look like?
If I had
we're like,
built the business.
Why does my house suck? Gee whiz, I wonder, because the time when it matters most, you forgot all your household responsibilities.
I'd be saying that I bet you 55% of my conscious time of my life has been spent thinking about your hunting.
Oh my God. Don't let our wives hear this episode.
Oh, they won't listen.
Sense of community is a thing of the past. If you don't pay my bills, F you. Yeah. How does your existence benefit me? It doesn't. Remember, you not be around and get in my way. Oh, I don't know. I must have. Yeah, me never.
Rather you not be around and get.
And I know that this community is a community of giving, and I know that because people are so kind to us, and when we have conversations, everyone's like, "I'll help you drag that deer. I'll help with this." Like, usually we're really quick to jump on to help people. I don't know if it's because we want to get the hell out of our house and like, someone got a deer, I'll help you drag it. I'm out. Like, do you want to bring a kid? No, they can't drag a deer. See ya.
They can hold the beers.
So, yes, but again, I don't want to let the bad eggs ruin the bunch in this case, because I think the bunch is good, and there are your bad eggs that will tarnish this shit, and I don't think that's what's happening in the greater good of what's happening here. I think that's a flavor and it's out there and it's a thing, but the negative is almost always louder than any sort of positive, which is why we try to pump out a lot of positive shit. I don't know if our listeners follow us on social media, because I don't think all of them would or do, or some of them have Instagram or Facebook or whatever.
You've been doing a really nice job with those posts lately.
It's very personal.
Inspirational.
Like, it's just coming from the things that I think about, and it takes a little bit to sharpen the pencil on that shit, but we got a lot of them scheduled. This should be a positive thing. Like, can we encourage more? And then there's that other point about like getting, the bridging the. I'm not trying to go against fucking Matt Ranella here. He's the only, for someone that's got a fucking brand that's called Unquietly, he's the loudest person on this topic. So
well, everybody knows that.
I find it to be interesting, but there could be. I think the path to I'm trying to find my freaking notes to that is like shifting from raw recruitment to retention through access. I don't know what I mean by that, but like, if we look at landowner incentives, land trust, habitat grants, and promote cooperative leases and like urban and suburban hunt opportunities, where can we find and promote more access for those quarters falling off the edges? So when we plug them back in the machine, they have a place to land, and we can make the edges wider. So it's going to take a lot longer before people start falling off. Like, where can we start to prop up other opportunities for access? Because the public land is getting taxed. So I don't know.
It's a tough one because there are governmental programs and tax programs in most states. Like we have, obviously we have like managed lands where the DNR will manage your lands. You get the huge tax breaks.
Yep.
But then they're actually doing forestry work on it, right? They're doing some logging, which is great for habitat. But we also have programs like voluntary public access lands, voluntary turkey lands. So like someone's land that they get some sort of tax break. I don't know what that looks like percentage wise. They get some sort of tax break to allow turkey hunters to access their property in the spring. And there's, deer, like those are great things. But man, if you're in an area that's good for hunting where people would just want to, be desirable, those properties have to already be leased out by people who are willing to pay more than whatever the taxes were.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's where, like, I don't know if other programs like the verbos of the hunting category, I think they're potentially a good thing here. Someone would have to help me understand if they are bad and why that would be the case.
The companies that are
promoting public access to private land by paying the landowners, I think it's making it harder for like Joe to just go knock on the door and say, "Hell, help you bale hay." And he's like, "Well, actually use this app and I'll make a little bit of money, or at least there'll be insurance covered. I don't have to worry about liability. Even if it's a $0 transaction, at least we're protected." Things like that. Decentralizing participation is another one here. You mentioned this, like if you spread the pressure out by guiding new hunters towards small game, waterfowl, turkey, and not just the whitetail crazed audience, you could maybe decentralize that a little bit. But this is like me trying to think about how to bridge the R3 and the hunt quiet kind of what's the middle ground here to achieve a little bit of both. I think we do need to recruit more people, but then the resource is going to get taxed and it's going to result in more people leaving hunting. So, shift from raw recruitment to retention through access, decentralize the participation through other species. And you're not going to take someone that's crazy about whitetail and convince me that squirrel hunting is going to be fucking better. And the seasons don't even fully compete, but like waterfowl, muskie, and deer overlap. And I think pheasants in there too.
Pheasants in there, squirrel does open. And we don't have a ton of squirrel hunters here, but it's much different in the western part of the state, in Minnesota, northern Iowa. You crazy amounts of squirrel hunters.
And deer hunters can piss at them.
Yeah.
But there's a reason to go do it. Like you said, there's more lightheartedness to it. Make the quality of the experience better as much as quantity of licenses. If new hunters burn out fast due to crowding, churn will worsen, and the PR and funding R3 problem aims to fix. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I have to synthesize information better. But if you make the quality of the experience matter as much as the quantity of licenses, you're getting the right people into the program. If you're not pushing for commerce, you're pushing for quality of experience. You're having, I think there was a lot of complaint about the people that came in from COVID because it's like, well, they're just, Johnny come lately kind of hunter, and that's fucking it up for us. And they don't even care about it. There's truth, but that doesn't mean everybody had that concept. Yes. Some people have stuck around because they truly love it. Elizabeth Brownell, the former host of the Onset podcast, is a prime example of that. She came in through COVID. She talks about it. And much like a new driver coming out of like the DMV test, probably knows more about the fucking rules of the road than I do at this point, because I've gotten pretty lackadaisical about it. I'm probably like rolling stop signs and shit and like not checking over my shoulder as much as I'm supposed to be. And she's like, she can probably ding me for 8 things I've done wrong and be right about it. Like those people have a better understanding of the hunting regulations than we do in some cases. So like kudos to them. We shouldn't hate against that, but obviously I think some people came in with the right experience. Maybe she had good mentorship. Like that was one of the topics. That was a lot.
My dad always told me, because we always have hunted public land, our family, and mostly northeastern Wisconsin. But my dad always told me, he said, "Derek, you're going to run into all sorts of people in the woods when you're out there. There's going to be assholes, but there's going to be some really good ones. Mm-hmm. Remember the good ones." That's what he always used to say.
Didn't you share something about traveling to Illinois? One guy was really good, one guy was really not good.
Yeah.
Is that you?
I mean, and this happens all the time. But what I'm realizing, and I think I was lucky enough to realize this at a pretty young age, but after some encounters in my early 20s, mm-hmm. I realized right away that, God, you have the power every time you're on public land to be good one that somebody remembers. And there's going to be people who have pushback on this and, well, we don't want them to have a good experience because we want them off the public land. But that's bullshit, because that's the wrong thing to do. And you know that.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing to do is to have a good experience for everyone. So when you're out there, you have the power to turn one of these people's experiences on that property on that day into a memorable experience that they go, hey, no, that was freaking cool. And then maybe they do that to the next person. So maybe, yeah, there are people out there,
more,
but everybody's being a little bit more considerate, right? That's the idea. So it's on us. Like, we can't control how much property there is for us to access. We don't have control over that on public, but we definitely have control over doing the right thing and making everyone's experience Derek, as best as possible.
We don't have control over external events, but we do have control over our response to them. And our response to them and how we treat other people is very important. And that's like a bit of the thesis that we try to promote here.
Yeah.
Which is great. That I think makes sense why you're in this seat. Like, shocker. Like, you just understood and got it intuitively, well before I probably did. So it's good to have people like you in our ranks, and it's good to hear that a lot of our listeners seem to, jive with us on this. And there's lots of reasons to not quit hunting.
Yeah, so whatever we said that's bothering you, don't let it bother you too much. Don't let your strands go fraying. Try to help somebody else out if you can.
If you or someone you know is thinking about quitting hunting, have them listen to this episode. Please share. We have a hotline. The call-in number is 262-757-4122. Have them call us, and we will help make sure that they stay hunting. I feel like that's what's happening here.
The hunter acquittal hotline.
If they're on the fence, get them help.
Depends, especially if they're on the private side of the fence. Get them back over.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Random episode. It's hard to think of shit to talk about in May.
Yeah.
Turkeys, yes, but I don't want to overdo it either.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't.
My turkey season opens tomorrow morning. I've got some spots I was planning on going because I'm always good with my early before school turkey hunts. But my son requested that I not go because he doesn't want me to get one. He wants to go tomorrow afternoon. So I said, yeah, you got it, buddy. So we're going to go tomorrow afternoon, and he's going to tag along, probably do some squawking on the call for me, and we'll see if we can.
If you guys get one, man, it's going to be a great day. It'll be a better experience if you get one with him than if you get one by yourself.
Well, yeah, for sure. I don't even really want to get one by myself. If he has the interest to go, we're going to go try to make 100%. It happen. And then he's going to be coming to turkey camp with us.
Yep.
So he's super excited for that.
He's going to be the only kid there, I think, because I asked Matt if he's going to bring his dog. He's like, nah, not this year. And I was like, well, we're not bringing yours. And maybe I'll bring mine because I don't know which one of my 3 kids to bring.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing all 3 of them. 2 of them might be challenging, and then we're not sure we're going to stay yet. Is going to be running water. Yep. There's some things. And so my wife's like, well, you can't. What if you bring one? She's like, well, I want to be here with me. I was like, this is the thing that's going to start to happen. You better start to figure this out. So good stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of the week. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.